Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Speed Gaming Family of Networks. We have a casual boots seed lined up for you today. We have Falcon, Yonka's wife, Ricky of Kokiri, and the OK Guy as our on-stream runners today, along with a bunch of other runners in the wings. My name is Claimer729. We are currently looking to replace commentator. Cyberchow is having technical issues. But we are going to get started just in a little bit here. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are. And right now we are seeing that the ALTTP Randomizer does allow for different sprites to be used. We see Toho's Chirno down in the lower left. The OK Guy is the bunny in the lower right. And two regular links up top, and we are starting the seed. This is a casual seed, meaning that while we are doing a standard escape, the sword will be assured, meaning that the uncle will have a sword. All of our runners are going to start in the usual manner by heading up to the castle and then heading around the right side into the passage under the rock. We have two crystals in Eastern Palace Desert and the blue pendant at Tower of Hera. Pretty okay light world seed.
Well, I hope I'm not late to the party, everyone.
I know. Welcome.
Welcome. So what are we looking at? We've got, obviously, casual boots. So, starting with a sword, got your boots, you're moving fast, not worried about finding bombs. Man, this is such a departure from standard.
Right. And right now we are looking at a blue crystal at Eastern Palace and Desert Palace, and a blue pendant at the Tower of Hera. So it's a very blue light world.
Blue's a good color. I'll take blue to get rolling here. Seeing a couple crystals in the light world's actually pretty good. It means we don't have to worry about some of the dungeons once we get Dark World access.
No, that means that we can tentatively skip a couple of the really bad Dark World.
Yeah, but that all depends on what the seed has in mind. That's a very early Moon Pearl that the OK Guy just pulled out of there.
That's an early Moon Pearl. That could be good, it could be bad. It's really hard to say at this point.
All right, early Moon Pearl has two things going for it. One, you're not worried about Moon Pearl being in an absolutely terrible location, but on the other hand, you could end up having either an Aghanim Dark World access or a very fast Dark World access that kind of throws your logical progressions out the window.
Yeah, the Link to the Past Randomizer, while it does randomize the game, it does so in a fair manner. The game obeys what we call logic. That means that the game knows where you can get to given the items that you have, and so it will rarely, hopefully rarely, put items in completely inaccessible locations. But what that means is that depending on the items that it gives you, you could be looking through the entire world for the next piece of progression tech that you need.
Yeah, the scariest thing you could possibly see is getting your hammer and your glove literally next to each other in the first checks you make in Kakariko, because that means your next piece of progression could quite literally be anywhere in the lighter Dark World.
And that is the bane of a speedrunner, because that means they don't know how to go fast.
Well, luckily, these four runners on the screen right now are showing us some fast. Yeah, this is going to be a quick run through the escape sequence. Of course, the aid of the boots and the starting sword making things a little bit easier than you would normally expect.
Certainly.
That's why casual boots is one of those modes that, if you're just feeling like playing rando, but you don't actually want to push yourself to compete. You don't have to go hard on like an open or any convoluted mode. Just grab yourself a Kaz boots, run through the seed.
Yeah, the boots alone, it makes navigating the overworld and making item checks significantly easier than would otherwise.
One thing that you'll see our runners do after they finish this escape sequence is what this does with starting boots is puts the Bonk Rocks check in Sphere 1. So I don't think we'll be seeing anybody give that a pass.
Certainly not. It's right out the door once you exit the Sanctuary.
All right, the OK guys will be the first person to push that little throne shelf away and into the sewers. And of course, being a standard mode without a lamp and randomizer, they will give you a complimentary lamp. Zelda does not like the dark, so she's pulled one out of her dress somewhere. It's just, what are you doing with a lamp? Come on, you're a prisoner.
Don't think about it too hard. It's fine. It's probably fine. But this is the only place the game will be nice to you. The game will not give you a complimentary lamp cone anywhere else.
And it's important to note, for other modes, of course, doesn't mean anything because we can just boots bonk the back of escape checks as we go through here, as the OK guy will show us in just a moment. If you have to come back into the escape sewer sequence for any reason, that lamp cone will still be there.
Well, yeah, and now it'll be there anyway because the OK guy found the lamp, which is good for him.
That seems pretty okay. That lamp with a starting sword does give me a little bit of pause. Got to wait and see what the checks around Kakariko have to say, because the last thing you want to see when you get a lamp and a moon pearl is a sword.
Lamp, moon pearl, and the sword. That puts... Ooh. Well, no, you need the gloves to get up Death Mountain. Where does that put... Where does that put in play?
Well, if you see Master Sword and a lamp and a moon pearl in some way to get around the Dark World, you're thinking, oh god, is this an Agaseed?
Oh, that's a very good point.
And that lamp could be pointing anywhere. It could be pointing to Turtle Rock later down the line. It could be pointing progression in Eastern. You don't know. You just don't know.
And with those bombs that the OK I just found, he has several checks in Kakariko Village that he can make after he makes his trip up to the Lumberjack Ledge and through the Lost Woods.
Yeah, and checking Lumberjack in a boot start is usually pretty good. You want to have that knowledge if you do end up having the logical ability to kill Aghanim and you don't look to see that, for example, your mirror is up here and you need it for some reason. Well, then you might be going on a wild goose chase only to find that this has been available for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's a sword-locked sword.
You don't like to see that.
Yeah, and then we did unfortunately see a death from Falcon as well at the same time as we saw the sword. So two things you don't want to see.
The bush crab that we see in the vanilla game, that bush crab is still there and it does still throw out items. In the randomizer, the items that the bush crab drops can be anything from small pots to single rupees. In this case, it is a red rupee, which is a very, very good thing.
Yeah, money's not going to be an issue on this seed, having those red rupees dropping out of the hoarder. There's one there in the forest you can hit. There's one by South Shore you can hit. If we see a glove, there's one over headed into desert that you can hit. No need to farm rupees at any point here. They're literally free.
Certainly, and we saw the OK guy grab the bloomerang from the Thieves' Cave, which is a fairly good item. It can stun enemies and give you a little bit of room to breathe.
Talk about free rupees. Did you see what that tree pole gave us, too? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And the way the tree pull works is it is determined by how many enemies you kill between instances of damage that you take. In this case, the tree pulls would be green, blue, and red rubies depending on how much damage you've taken. So it can be good or it can be not so good depending on how well you perform.
Well, so far, Kakariko holding out on us quite a bit here until I open my mouth and we get a hook shot.
Yep, that's not bad either. That gives a lot of room to move, and it puts Swamp Palace later in the game into easy completion because they don't need to worry about it.
Hookshot's just a nice movement item to have in general as well. As you see, wow, you don't see people use that hook speed very often, but OK guy did.
And certainly not off the doorway into the Thieves' Hut. That's not that common.
Maybe I should have said something else that would have given us more to think about.
Oh, that bottled fairy is going to give OK guys something to think about right now.
Yeah, being able to check Sick Kid without having to come back into Kakariko is... Oh boy. See, this is what happens. You start speculating, and suddenly
And
you get a
suddenly
hammer.
suddenly the seed just tells you, no, I got this.
Seed says, hold my root beer.
And Quake.
Now, we still don't know if that Quake's going to be something that we need later on down the line.
No, you're right. That Quake is only of potential utility at this point. Both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock will require a medallion to enter, and we don't know what medallions those are until we go find them.
The OK guy, not very happy with getting some chump change from the sick kid, leaves his thoughts in an explosive manner on the floor, and replenishes his supply immediately following. All right, so far, not really much, much happening. Some really nice items at the Hammer on the Hook shop, but the seed's not telling us where it wants us to go just yet.
Not quite, and certainly not with those arrows.
One last check here is the race game check, which OK Guy is racing towards, and we see... Oh,
the Nice Rod.
That's... I don't think in any circumstance you leave that behind.
No, because the moment you leave that behind, you're required to go to Turtle Rock, and then you feel like a fool. Now, when Zeruvian says that the game isn't telling us where it wants to go, usually the game's internal logic will lay out items in such a way that the items tell you what dungeons you can complete. So if you have the lamp and the bow and the sword, the game is telling you maybe you should go over to Eastern Palace because you have everything you need to beat the Armos Knights.
Yeah, and a lot of the time you'll have this mentality that people say, you might hear it referred to as ABCD, always be clearing crystal dungeons. Well, in this case, the game hasn't given us any crystal dungeons that we can readily clear, so right now, we're stuck poking around at the overworld to see whether or not it's going to throw us an idea of what it wants us to do.
Yeah, so right now it's more like ABEW, always be exploring the overworld.
Oh, well, there's your flute. So I guess...
Yeah, okay, there we go. Well,
Now, we did have someone in chat say, well, this could be EDM, but you need a flute or gloves, and that somebody is entirely correct here. It's really kind of unfortunate to get the flute, down here on the beaten path. You'd rather have it in Kakariko so you can activate it right off the bat. Instead, we're going to have to run back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, unless you get a glove, then you're not worried about activating your flute until you're going into the Dark World in Kakariko or something.
And it's kind of not terrible, not great place to get it. And coming out of Moldorm Cave, we have a couple items of passing utility. The Cane of Burna is not really... It's not super useful. The magic powder is going to be a check later on, so it could be useful.
Actually, what that magic powder does is it gives us a reason to go back into Kakariko Village to activate that flute. And OK Guy said, I don't care enough about this Ice Rod Cave because I'm going to take this portal and activate the flute.
Yeah,
it's actually a really neat piece of routing.
That actually was a really good idea, because once he activates the flute, he could just warp back to the South Shore and, have lost essentially 0 time. And, what our runners are going to do, what OK Guy is going to do right now is, he's going to take the boots that he has, and he's going to loop up to, Zor's Waterfall area. And with the Moon Pearl, this seed has given our runners everything. With the Moon Pearl, he's going to have the 2 checks in the Waterfall, and he's going to be able to loop right up to Zor's Waterfall and grab Zor's item.
Now, first, remember, he picked up that powder, and now being in Kakariko, he has a reason to do one for the other, or the other before the one. We're going to see what the magic bat check is. And Ricky, right behind OK Guy here. Same thought.
And we have Falcon doing the Agina check, which is something that the other runners haven't gone over to do yet. And it was a good choice because he only had 10 arrows in his closet.
Yeah, you might see a lot of runners, as soon as they get a flute, decide to just take to 6 and get this Sphere 1 check out of the way, which is honestly a really good idea. And now the OK guy is going to go do this as well. Or at least peek at what... There's another sword.
Okay.
Are you serious?
Sword locked behind book. Sure.
All right, Ricky deciding to take to Ice Rod Cave here, and of course, as Claymore mentioned, we'll probably see him set up for a water walk, unless he decides that the mountain is a more pliable set of checks for him to make at this point.
Yeah, we're going to see him on his way out. He's going to dash against the side of the pit, and that's going to do sorcery to the game. It's not really clear why it does that, but he has armed water walking, so he's going to be able to leap off the ledge here. And if he does it the same way the OK guy did it, he's actually going to arm a double water walk, which is kind of cool.
And we did see OK guy do this coming out of Mini Moldworm Cave to use that seldom used whirlpool to get back up in the direction of north of Kakariko. So with or without the Moon Pearl, you can make this check while you can walk on water for Ricky. What's really interesting is that Zora being out of logic, our runners are going to spend 500 rupees to figure out whether or not he's going to give us a little bit of love, a little piece of life, or a lot of something we want.
Or maybe something we don't want. What Zeruvia means when he says out of logic is that based on the items that the game has given us so far, our runners are not supposed to be at Zora's waterfall. So he didn't, but if Zora had given us a progression item, then our runners would have to keep that in mind as they moved around the overworld, because they would have something they're not supposed to have, and that could throw off their routing later on.
Interestingly, OK Guy decided to take the water walk over to Hobo, which is something we didn't see Ricky do, because you might think that this is a good check to get out of the way. Well, so it turns out swimming from Hobo is a lot slower than running up to him.
Yes, and it's an interesting check because the density is a little bit off. The OK Guy gave up 3 checks to make 1. That could have played in his favor if the Hobo had given him something useful. The gloves or some other progression item, maybe the mirror, but unfortunately in this case, this is just the OK Guy losing a little bit of time.
Well, not necessarily as bad as you think it is. With that Moon Pearl, the game thinks you have flippers, and you can just walk out and walk back in, boom, you're in the cave.
Sure, but I was speaking mainly to your point about the ease of getting up to Hobo on the water rather than having to swim.
Oh yeah, I mean, sometimes you can find a real piece of treasure on Hobo, and I've seen it happen where Hobo being orphaned is a game-losing play, or a game-winning play, you never know.
That's the beauty of randos.
All right, Ricky is going to save the old man of the mountain and get a prize for doing so. This is now, of course, what the game intended us to do with this item set. We refer to that as in logic.
As the Vern says, Ricky is the only one making the currently logical play. He just has a heart for us, but this gives us access up Death Mountain. There's not too terribly much we can do with the items we have, but there are 1 or 2 checks we can make.
And at the top of the mountain here that we have to go the long way around for is, of course, Pendant Hera. And don't let it fool you. Just because the prize is a pendant doesn't mean that it's going to have absolutely nothing for our runners.
That's a shovel. That's a fetch quest.
Sure is. Man, we're not even 20 minutes in. We've seen 2 fetch quests already. This seed has just given us everything today.
Even the stuff we don't want. Interestingly, Ricky did not check the hint tile up there. Sometimes the hint tiles can give you a little bit of a clue as to where a progression item might be. we might see the OK guy or one of the other two runners check it.
Well, generally in the daily series, we don't play with hints on. That's something you see more in, say, multi-worlds, for example, is where you might see hints, or in cross doors, just to kind of give you some idea of where something might be. But in general, more standard racing modes, such as casual boots, you'll almost never see players play with hints.
Oh, whoops. Unfortunate. The OK guy was attempting to hover across the pit, which is something you could do because if you press release the A button in a certain sequence, the game forgets that you're on air.
And there we have it. Ricky has unearthed a glove in the lower, mid of Paradox Cave. This is why we call it Paradox Cave. You seem to fall up for some reason. Anyhow, that's Dark World Access at just under the 20-minute mark.
Let's see what it gets at Upper Paradox Cave. Nothing in the first 3 chests. And
looks like the only thing that we saw in here was a glove. Now, I would be curious to see if Ricky decides to finish us off with Hera Spiral or maybe even Spike Cave. You did mention that Kane of Berna earlier being possibly something to look forward to later, rather than when we first obtained it. Well, here's where the game might expect us to go into Spike Cave, as it does give us an invuln item.
Without half magic, it might be a little bit of a tricky play, given the health our runners are working with.
No, I'd agree if we had a cape that I don't think anyone would go for that, but Berna is a little bit less magic hungry than the cape would be.
Flippers are on the floating island, according to chat.
And there's the cape. All right, but floating island, indeed flippers. We don't yet know if we need those flippers. So let's see where Ricky's deciding to go here. And I see the route that a lot of players like to take. We're going to go straight to Hype Cave.
It's not a bad call. There are 5 items there. Now, Hype Cave has been deprioritized in more recent versions of Logic, so it's not always as stacked as it is. We got Green Crystal in Skull Woods, Red Crystal, or Red Pendant in Ice Palace, Blue Crystals in Otherwise, and our good crystals today are in God's Darkness and Misery Mire. Which does mean those flippers are 100% required.
It does mean we're also going to be looking for a mirror. And we're not looking for arrows, because, well, we got one.
Are we going to find mirror in Hype Cave? Survey looks bad. Well, not nothing.
No. No mirror, but a little extra safety, and we're still under, we don't have 10 hearts yet. We're still on low offense, so the ability to keep ourselves alive is probably important here.
Yes, and we have Yonker's wife and the OK guy syncing up as they enter Tower of Hera. Can they get through it? Who knows? We'll find out.
Now, I did mention that Hera is probably one of those plays that you might make thinking that it's off the beaten path. This is still in the logical progression of things, although, to our knowledge, we don't yet believe that the pendant's going to be something to pick up. Are we going to see a Hera pod from OK Guy here?
It looks like we're going to see it, and we're seeing a variant one too, set up with a hook shot on the stairs. That is something I have never seen before.
There's a few different ways you can set it up, and that hook speed variant is definitely more reliable than some of the bomb setups. A little bit harder to master, but pretty easy to learn once you know where you're going.
It was that was interesting tech, and we are seeing Ricky of Kokiri doing the digging game. Go to the south of Kakariko and dig up a red rupee and ignore it.
I always wonder, if you play dig game and he's just throwing money back at you, didn't he just take the 80 rupees and throw it in the ground in front of you? How do you not know it's there? Come on.
Very good question. And the OK guy is bullying Moldorm with the hammer, which will do damage equivalent to the Temperate Sword, 2 levels above what he has right now.
All right, Moldorm taken out. Does Moldorm have another item? He does. So we have both items in the Pendant of Hera without having to worry about picking up the big key out of the basement. So if that pendant comes into line as something we need later on, well, okay, guys, got that advantage. Now, Ricky did find a book somewhere on the line between Hype Cave. I would imagine Stumpy had it.
Stumpy must have had it.
So he's going to give us exactly what we were just alluding to. And
Oh, Pet is dead.
Nope.
Rip. Early pet check, too.
Sorry,
And
chat. No pedestal for you.
And the OK guy is giving us our Spike Cave check with the Cane of Burna. He's doing it on fairly low health. Oh, he didn't get the cape out in time. Oh, tragic. Oh, right, the fairy.
I do find it interesting that he went for the cape over the Cane of Burna. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the cape is a little bit more magic hungry. Also, another quirk of it is that when you menu to it, there is a second or two delay before you can actually turn it on.
Yeah, one of the hidden features of the cape that you don't quite know about, with Falcon going up to the north of the Dark World and going to the Catfish and getting nothing for his trouble. So the seed it seemed generous early on, but it's kind of dried up relatively quickly. Ricky Fakiri dipping into Skullwoods. Not entirely sure what his aim is here. There's not much he can do.
Well, Skullwoods is a very interesting point of contention among runners. Some players look at it as something that you always do on your first trip to the Dark World in Kakariko to Vu, and some people look at it as something that you only do when you have a fire rod. At the end of the day, if you find progression in Skullwoods and you don't have to come back, it feels pretty good.
Yep, but by the same token, if you dip into Skullwoods and you find nothing, you kind of sort of wasted your time.
Well, there's the first item out of Skullwoods, as we were seeing Falcon do the same thing. And confirming that the book was on Stumpy is the OK guy. The one player that isn't doing what everyone else did right now is Yoinker's wife, as she has stepped into Thieves Town.
It's an interesting play. I hesitate to say that she could complete it because she doesn't have the Titan's Mitch, which would normally be required to fully explore the game as the developers intended it. You don't need it, but I don't know if she has everything she needs to get through.
Well, Thieves Town as a dungeon and randomizer is literally only looking for you to be able to walk in and have a weapon to defeat blind. Or possibly, if the key is... I just drew a blank. Something key logic, something big chest. You'd need a hammer. But that's by logic, and most of the time we just ignore that.
Yeah, the game, like I said, the game does obey a set of internal logic, and part of that logic is distributing keys. It is possible to have the key locked in Thieves Town in two different and interesting ways. You can have it locked in such a way that you logically require the hammer to get through. You can also have the big key locked in the big chest because somebody decided that they wanted to do things that way.
Thieves Town's one of those dungeons you can't lock the big key in the big chest because you need the big key to get back there in the first place.
Oh, right. I was thinking of Swamp Palace. I'm sorry.
Swamp Palace, Skullwoods are the two dungeons where your big key's not necessarily required. Alrighty, so I imagine Ricky's going to make the same play here after checking what's in the chest game, and then OK Guy is going to go take care of Catfish. So at this point, we're going to have everyone converging on Village of Outcasts.
Falcon taking a death in Skullwoods.
Depending on where that was, I would imagine it was an intentional death.
It
to
was
warp
an
back to the
intentional
front.
death. Yep. To death warp back out.
Yoinker's wife sitting on... Oh, geez. Did I have to say anything at all? Did I really? She does still have her fairy. But Yoinker's Wrath was sitting at 1.5 hearts, and those lizards will do 2 hearts contact damage to green mail. Not really a happy place to be.
No, not at all. Being in the Darkwood, or being in the Dark World dungeons in general without advanced mail, you're kind of taking your life in your own hands.
Well, even the vanilla game doesn't give you a mail upgrade until you're in Ice Palace, which is, by sequence, Dark World Dungeon 5. So it's less so much that the mail upgrades are something that you necessarily need to see, but we're still playing with less than what would be optimal HP for coming through Village of Outcasts. The most hearts you see on the screen right now is 9. That's the OK guy.
And we saw the red rupee on Bumper Ledge from the OK guy, meaning we won't be going up there anytime soon.
All right, so Yoinker's wife getting another heart container out of the big chest of Thieves Town. Unfortunately, that does mean that we're still looking for something. Anything. And something that was mentioned earlier, with that book, we do have the knowledge of a sword on Desert Ledge, and Desert, as we know, is a fully completable crystal with the item set. So it could be that the game is asking us to go in that direction.
If I were the OK guy right now, that is where I would go, because he knows there's a sword there he can dip in and get. He's already got the boots, so it doesn't matter what's on the torch. And with the Master Sword, he's going to have an easier time against Lan Moleth.
Today's blind pun of the day is... I don't know, I couldn't see it.
She doesn't see us having a bright future. Because she's blind.
If she's blind, how come her optometrist says she has vision? There's the other use you might see of the Cane of Berna. It does make this blind fight a little bit less treacherous if things are not going your way.
Yep, if you have the mana to fuel it, then each pass to the satellite will do 1 of the required damage.
Alright, that's OK Guy finishing his Front of Skullwood's dive, taking a Death Warp in Pinball Room. Gonna have a look at what's in the big chest. Nice hover, though. Nothing. Skullwoods is completely empty.
And Yoinker's wife taking our first crystal at Thieves Town.
First crystal of the match coming in at 32 minutes. Thieves Town is a good common first crystal if you don't see an early bow.
Or a super early book and boots to get through Desert Palace. To answer Cyrillus in chat, Master Sword is on the Desert Ledge, which we can get to with the book from Stumpy. So that is where the money would go.
Right now, Ricky is executing the scripted blind fight. If you move in the exact same way every time, this fight will never change. Blind will always move in counter to how you move, and you'll always have a good 7, 8, 9 slashes before he starts to give you a hard time. Of course, by the time you've hit him the 9th time, Blind is done, and Ricky has his first crystal. I think it's less about what's in Desert and more the speculation of, so, what's in Desert?
Yeah, what is this seed going to give our runners next? Desert is pretty much the only play. We don't have the arrows to get through Eastern Palace. We can't really do much in the other Dark World dungeons. We might... Palace of Darkness, perhaps.
So I am seeing calls for a bow in Desert. That would give you both Palace of Darkness and Eastern on the table. Or possibly Mitts, a French vanilla glove in Desert Palace. Would be kind of cool, actually, as it opens up the rest of the Dark World and the dark side of Death Mountain.
And as Uninformed Pleb is saying, there's nothing saying Eastern Palace can't have the bow, just like in vanilla.
There's nothing saying Eastern Palace can't have a glove either. That's the joy of Rando. You just never know until you figure it out. Falcon on his scripted blind fight. Not bad, not bad. That's 3 for 3, and we'll see OK Guy get to his in just a minute or two. Ricky's given us a look at right side of desert because of the location of that small key being readily available for us. And of course, gating the big key in this case. Claymore, I have a question. Trackers,
Yes, sir.
you can step in as well if you'd like. Did we see anybody, even one runner, check Sahasrarla's closet?
No, because we haven't seen our runners actually go into that area at all. So the back of Sahasrarla's house with 3 item checks is a complete mystery to us.
All right, so Ricky's absolutely going to grab this Master Sword off of the ledge. Now, he can choose to save Landmo for later. We know the mirror is required. We know the flute, the mirror, and the mitts are required to get to Meyer. So coming back to kill Landmo is probably faster later when you have better equipment to make the fight trivial.
Certainly, and what it wouldn't necessarily be the most efficient use of their time, but our runners could go kill Aghanim with the items they have, save and quit back to the Light World, because A Link to the Past will dump you back into the Light World if you don't have the mirror, and then pull Tempered off of Lumberjack.
So I'm going to stand corrected here as Ricky is making the way to Landmo. It's Crystal, you know, nothing wrong with this. Fight might be easier later on, but we do have that Ice Rod.
Does the Ice Rod actually do anything to Landmolus?
Ice Rod and Fire Rod will do the same amount of different types of damage to Landmolus.
Ah.
Equals to a Tempered Sword Slash. Not Tempered Sword Slash. A Gold Sword Slash, excuse me. The difference between the Fire Rod and the Ice Rod is the amount of delay in travel and particles. You can have 2 shots on the screen, but they travel slower. So this fight's a little bit tougher than if you had the Fire Rod.
Not to mention the lag that the ice particles introduce.
Yeah, combined with having 3 snakes on the screen and all those rocks, your Ancilla is kind of working overtime here. All right, so that's our second crystal of the match. Ricky getting it off of Landmolus at 37 and a half. Now, you're kind of in a split decision here. You can chance that Pod is not bow locked, or you can go into Eastern with the intent to go to Pod anyway, which is easy to do with this flute.
That's a very good question. I suspect we're going to see... I don't even know what we're going to see right now.
Oh, we're going to see the shovel. That's right. We got a shovel earlier, and we haven't looked at it yet.
Now we're going to find out what's buried. It could be the bow. I imagine it's going to be nothing, but I could always be wrong.
Well, it's never nothing. The worst it could be is like 10 arrows. That's a piece of heart. Okay. Chat is reminding us that Yoinkers has already looked, and we knew it was a piece of heart, except we didn't know it was a piece of heart. Thank you, chat.
Digging game was in fact Red Rupee, yes. And Ricky is making the play to Sahasrarla.
Yeah, I think this is the optimal way to do things. You want to kind of maximize your chances that you get an item of progression before you're stepping into either dungeon that you may not be able to clear, with both being crystals.
Bombs, and a rupee. So, no love from Sahasra, but the Ricky is probably going to dip into Eastern Palace because he doesn't really have that much else left to do.
Yeah, if you had to choose between a possible Bowlock pod or an Eastern Palace that you can almost full clear, I think you take Eastern every time. Especially not having a mirror.
Yeah, it's a lot. Without a mirror, it's a lot harder to go back from Palace of Darkness to Eastern.
Not to mention that the ability to walk into Eastern Palace and get the items that aren't locked by any other item makes this available at the start of the game, making it a Sphere 1 check, similar to how the boots gave us the Bonk Rocks check early on. It's like all 4 runners decided that they were going to go ahead and take Lanmo out of contention here early on.
Yep, and like our tracker is saying, the item set was nice until we got Dark World access. Like we said, Dark World access early on throws the entire game into chaos.
Oh no, is that a French vanilla bow?
That's a French vanilla bow.
In Eastern Palace. You hate to see it. It's really nice in this case, but you still hate to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's right where you need it to be, but...
Just think of the reaction that goes through your head when you see an item this early in Eastern, like a bow. And you're like, oh, I could have had this literally 40 minutes ago almost.
Yeah, like half an hour ago, he could have walked in here and grabbed the bow and had that much more firepower at his command.
And with the lamp coming in as early as it did, this is a very, very early Eastern in logic.
Yes, as our tracker says, the good news is there's a bow in Eastern. The bad news is there's a bow in Eastern.
One could argue the ever-known, long-standing phrase, is this even randomized?
I think our runners would say that it's quite randomized.
I would agree with that. Right now, all 4 runners have beaten up on Lanmo, and we're going to see everyone converge on Eastern Palace.
The seed has been kind of shuttling our runner from one location to another in terms of what they can actually accomplish at any given time. There hasn't been too much in the way of divergence.
Yeah, kind of linear in terms of how everyone's decided to make their marks here. To answer a question in chat, does casual boots logic assume that you start with boots? Yes. The boots item, or a green 20, depending on where it's being rolled, will be a junk placement, kind of like, 10 arrows or something in the world. The game expects you to be able to check Bonk Rocks as soon as you leave Sanctuary.
And yes, the flippers are logically mitts-locked because you have to get to the floating island to get there, which means they're actually mirror-locked as well.
They are indeed, so that means Swamp Palace is down the line here, not really on the table unless it's gating something, say, a Cane of Samaria, a Fire Rod, or Medallion to get into Mire or Turtle Rock.
And yes, Pod will more than likely have mitts, potentially. I'm not a logic guru, so I don't exactly know whether Pod is guaranteed or almost guaranteed to have mitts at this point.
I'll tell you an item I'd be concerned to see in Pod if I don't find mitts. That item would be the mirror, because it gives us some pretty not nice checks to be able to do in the overworld. The other item I don't want to see here, this early on if I don't see mitts, is the Fire Rod.
Yeah, you hate to see it because that puts Skullwoods right back into play. And they just came from there.
Could have the wonderful joy of a mitts on green pendant situation. But no thanks.
Ew. Wait. Do you mean mitts on Mothra, or do you mean mitts on Sahasrara?
Oh, I mean going to kill Moth to pick up the mitts at Sahasrara. That's the worst case scenario here.
Ugh.
Anyhow, we did see, I believe that was the OK guy went up the mountain to get the ether tablet check out of the way, take that out of isolation. Of course, it was just yet another bottle, and that one had a B.
Yep. So he's got the bottle, but he's gonna have to get rid of that B.
All right, Ricky, taking our monkey scam artist to the front door of Pod. He's gonna jump up here. Link is definitely more than agile enough to get up here and flip the switch himself. But, you know, have money, make people do work for you.
Something commentary.
It's the one thing they never actually really grasped is that depth of field. You don't know just how tall Palace of Darkness is. I don't actually think you're going to be climbing up column to get up there.
Yeah, this isn't Breath of the Wild, Link.
All right, here's our question. Where in Palace of Darkness is our next piece of progression going to be? As we see, it is in fact bow-locked, so going here first would have been pretty bad.
And by bow-locked, you can tell by how the keys are laid out in the very start of the dungeon, whether you're going to have to go into this room that Ricky of Kakira is going into right now, which has 3 gorillas in it, and gorillas are an enemy that require the arrows to kill, and the door in this room will only open when the enemies are dead, with an asterisk. There are ways around it. Don't worry about it.
Those are some pretty big air quotes you put on that dead. Speaking of the cave Mario, chat was wondering where it might turn up, and so it is in Pod. All right, so we can determine whether or not we want to pick up another key here based on whether or not the Stalfos basement has a key.
And it does.
So you're guaranteed to have 4 keys in the front of Palace of Darkness, in some way, shape, or form. When you don't get a key in the first check, in the shooter room downstairs to the left, you have to go through that gorilla room to get your first key on the right side, which logically requires the bow, but you won't see it tonight, but you've probably seen it before, where runners have a few different methods to get past that room.
Yeah, the way the game checks if the enemy is dead, it really only checks if the enemy is off screen. And if you can disjoint the camera from your movement, you can scroll the gorillas so that they go off screen enough that the door opens. Video games.
Of course, that means that it's likely that the item that we have sitting in the big key location is, in fact, an item. Possibly the big key itself. There's your
mitts.
Of course it's Mitts and Pod, why wouldn't it be? Of course, we also know that this is an item. Albeit not an item you necessarily want or need to grab. See, what that Kino Samaria does for me, we only have 1 medallion, but that 1 medallion is enough for me to want to check the mire area and see if I can get in, possibly finish up that dungeon.
The 1 out of 3 chance, but with Samaria in hand, it's not a bad use of time if you can get there. And with the flute and Titan's Mitts in hands, we can get into mire, we just can't easily get back out without the mirror. I wouldn't check TR at the moment. We can get most of the way through it, but without the fire rod,
Now, I am going to go with Chet on this one thing, though. Going in the direction of TR is probably the most dense set of checks that we have right now. So your mirror could very well be in Super Bunny or Hookshot Cave.
Right. Because we haven't done the Death Mountain checks because you need the Titan's Mitt to get them. So now our runners are probably going to get that idea that they should head that way. But we shall see. And it does give us a knowledge, as Tinchenko says, of whether we can even open TR. So whether the question is even important.
Well, if nothing else, just the knowledge of knowing what you need to get into TR is going to tell you what you need to finish the seed. Which means you're going to keep checking until you see that item, even if that's the last item that comes up. To that end, what we need to finish this seed, we know that the flippers are currently mirror locked, so we need a mirror. We need a mirror to get into Swamp Palace regardless. And to fight Trinex in TR, you need a Fire Rod.
Yep, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 items that we know. 4 items that we know that we need, worst case, if Misery Mire and Turtle Rock require separate locks. Or separate medallions to open.
Alright, Ricky Okakiri has stepped into the Helmasaur arena. 17 pounds of the hammer will take that mask off of the dinosaur's face, and then it's a battle between bow, hammer, sword, however you want to blast that crystal.
I think the game expects you to use bow and arrow.
Ricky's a little bit shy on the arrow count, though, and taking a beating from Helmasaur. Yikes. Getting pinned up against the wall like that is never a fun place to be, especially if you're still in green mail, because those hearts will drop real fast. And they drop fast now, even having blue mail, because even with 50% damage reduction, that's still 1 heart per hit.
To answer your question in chat, I don't think the sword can actually take off the helmet. Ricky had the sword out because it reduces the lag from the hammer swing so that you can swing faster. Because otherwise you'd have to bring the hammer down, and then Link would have to wait and recover the hammer. With the sword, you can machine gun it.
Alright, Yoinker's Wife following suit in this fight, as Falcon does as well, and we'll see again. Okay, guys, making his way through pod, and he will soon join us. And Ricky has decided to take this spawn point and flute off, possibly to, I would say, Meyer here.
Thou sure. And then
this is spicy. Ricky is going to. Ricky, what? Wait, this doesn't actually work. So it looked like for a moment Ricky was intent on doing the Ice Palace without Flippers play, but you don't have a fire weapon to do this with, so he's going to be very, very sad in just a moment. Oh, he's buying arrows.
Okay, I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that.
So I take everything back. This is a prep play for Meyer.
And that makes it a very good play.
Falcon and Yoinker's Wife also both finishing off their Helmasaur fights. Also both, well, Yoinkers is going back in. So she's got something left undone here.
She hadn't gotten the mitts.
Oh, she went straight to Helma?
She must have dived straight in, yeah.
Okay.
So she's gonna finish clearing up her checks, and then she's gonna save and quit out. Falcon is checking Meyer's shed and checking what locks Meyer. If it's Quake, he's in pole position.
Hey, guess what? It's Quake.
And it's Quake. Haha.
Kane is telling us, hey, go do Meyer. And Ricky's already in Meyer's shed and showing us absolutely nothing. Goodness. Oh, this is the Meyer play. And this is a fully logical play. What's in Meyer? Something's got to be in Meyer.
The flippers, the fire rod.
Oh, we know where the flippers are. So by
Right.
proxy, it would be the mirror. Gosh, mirror and Meyer. Oh boy, that'd be a place for that.
It rhymes at least. I suppose fire rod could be in here, or worst case, another fetch quest.
What fetch quest haven't we seen yet? Just the mushroom?
Yep.
You see Misery Mirror in chat. Oh, you'd hate to see it. Actually, I'd love to see a mirror in here.
The ether tablet has been checked. Yes, the OK guy went up and pulled it, and it was a piece of art.
I thought it was... No, it was the bee bottle.
Oh, you're right. It was the...
Smith chain is definitely also in logic with the mints. Of course, mirrorless Smith's not something that's really first on your mind when you have them available, unless they happen to have your mirror, in which case you're literally shaking a fist at them when they take your money and give you something that you wanted to do their side quest in the first place.
Yeah, but you can also grab the Smith, save and quit, dip out of Sanctuary, then flip back to Kakariko. So it's not as terrible as it could be.
Here's a little bit of in-dungeon routing divergence for you. Ricky, seeing that it is a Godmire, is going straight to Vitreous.
It's an interesting play, but if the keys and items let you do it, go for it. Of course, this does mean that Ricky is sacrificing a couple of checks that he might wish very much that he didn't in a little bit.
Oh, but see what this does. Meyer is our other 5/6 crystal alongside Pod. So he might be making this play thinking that the answer is going to be Pyramid Fairy. And you see, OK Guy, what he's doing? He's making the play for Dark Death Mountain, and this is the most dense thing we have on the table right now. All right, so there are 7 checks between Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave that we know we can get, with one of them currently locked by a mirror. Did I say Hookshot Cave and Paradox Cave? I meant Super Bunny Cave. Ricky is demonstrating what you can do with the cape. If you
wait for Turtle Rock.
Oh boy. So now we just need a fire rod to be able to get in. Well, get deeper in, I should say.
Yeah, with the Cane of Samaria in hand and Quake to open the door, we can get 95% of the way through Turtle Rock and pick up a whole bunch of goodies.
That is highly dependent on the key layout. If you have a big key on the right side, or at least one key on the right side, currently without a fire rod, it's impossible to go through for very long. Ricky, with a nice Master Sword cape fight of Vitreous, takes down our 5th crystal in under an hour. Pretty fast seat so far.
And Super Bunny Cave coming up dry. Just $40. But now we're going to go see Hookshot Cave with another 4 checks to be had here. And we won't even have to do anything silly. We got the hookshot.
All right, Ricky doesn't want to be fooled by Meyer possibly holding a progression item for him.
Fire Rod and Hookshot Cave. Somebody called it in chat.
Fire Rod and Hookshot Cave means that your mirror is almost assuredly in Turtle Rock.
And the mushroom and the silver arrows. Wow. Hookshot Cave was stacked.
Oh man, that is a loaded cave right there. That's got everything you could possibly want.
And the OK Guy is making the logical play and going right back into Turtle Rock because he knows where he's going. Chat's out for blood. They want Mirror on Saha.
Everybody wants an item on Green Pendant, and as a runner, it's the last thing you really want, especially when you have this much you can possibly do. right now the only thing OK Guy can't do is go into Swamp Palace. It's the only thing you physically cannot do.
Oh, he missed the torch. Can he get it?
There's a
Yes,
little
good.
bit of extra time here, so this is perfectly okay.
Sure, bombos. I mean, it's not useless.
It's literally just a luxury item at this point.
True. Without half magic, though, there's an arguable use case for it against Cold Sphere. Because you can break Cold Sphere's outer shell with one application of bombos, rather than four up to 8 applications of Fire Rod.
Falcon showing us the NMG strategies that you may use on Vitreous. If you take a hit from the ooze, it is a fixed 1 heart. And the iframes allow you to get pretty up close and personal to all those eyeballs. Oh, Ricky, you don't have the money for this, my friend.
Ugh.
And that's kind of a feels bad, because all of those safeties that Ricky bought going into Misery Mire, he ended up not needing at all.
Yep. And it cost him money. And the OK Guy here demonstrating, like, beautiful mastery of the game's tech, punting against the Mario block and staggering it just in time to get on the blocks for the invulnerability. That was textbook.
We're going to see a King's Tomb check from Falcon.
Oh!
That's something you forget about when you have the mitts but no mirror, because a lot of the times you'll want to combo these together.
Yeah, with the graveyard, because it one way or another, you're orphaning a check. And that's never feels good.
So you got a super isolated graveyard ledge right now. Very good arrow game playing by Ricky. He now has the money, and he will go to Pyramid Fairy.
Yes. OK Guy picking up hearts on the way. A good play. He was running low.
And that's why the powder is the most unsung safety in the game. Because anywhere you got a bubble or a bunny beam, you got a fairy waiting to drop 7 hearts in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And a masterful slash to keep that pokey from just giving him a little sucker punch. Really nice work.
Yeah, that was a beautiful reaction. Very quick reflexes. And the OK Guy demonstrating one of the features of the randomizer, item quick swap. Instead of having to pull down that big, long, slow menu, you can just use L and R to scroll through your items, which is much faster.
Faster than menuing, and also very convenient, allowing for some very interesting strategies playing your game that aren't really available when you're moving around and having to stop to menu. Ricky finding half magic at Pyramid Fairy, but unfortunately, nothing else. It's a free blue, though.
It's a free blue, and half magic is not bad. I wouldn't turn it down, but it's probably not what he was hoping to find. Oh, are we seeing Yonker's wife trying to set up for Spooky? The movement tech outside of the warp block made me think she was trying to set the Ancilla. We'll have to see if she capitalizes.
Alright, last check on Laser Bridge for OK Guys, a bug net. I don't remember if we've seen either or both of our dungeon items to this point.
I do not remember. I should know more about the item mapping layout than I do.
Well, the dungeon is vast as Turtle Rock with all the checks. It's very easy to miss if you just kind of put out of your head, oh, that was a map or compass, that wasn't important.
The OK guy first to meet up with Trinex. Let's see how he does.
Kind of takes a little headbutt from the ice head, the fire head for just a moment here, but little hammer Trinex action coming from OK guy. Ooh, and he just gets stuck on the ice rod in the menu because you can't swap items while the boss is exploding.
Yeah, it's one of the weird quirks of the game that we've never really been able to figure out why it works this way, but it does.
So unless Trinex has the mirror, we're down to only a few very uncomfortable checks.
We're going back to Skullwoods. I almost guarantee it. And OK guy gonna dance with Trinex for a little bit. Do we get the mirror on Trinex? Let's see it. No. Okay. Yep.
So we've got a few things looking specifically for the mirror and nothing else. Mirror is our go mode at this point. And we have a mushroom that we can go turn in. That's pretty easy to do with the flute. You got a mirrorless smith chain, which also is a little bit nicer with the flute than just wandering around. And you got...
That's about it.
The
Unless there's a random check that I have somehow dropped out of my skull. That's gonna be it.
Just hear it. Just hear the chants rising in chat for mirror on Sahasrara.
Zora Waterfall was bust, unfortunately. It had nothing. A piece of heart, I think.
So unfortunately, to remark on that as well, we have seen both items in the front of Skullwoods, so the only other thing we can get from Skullwoods is the turn-in of the green pendant after fighting the boss. And we've already read the pedestal, so we know it's not that.
Checkerboard. Oh, no. Checkerboard, you need mirror for that.
So
Trying to be mean ended up being impossible.
You're not going to see Ice Palace on the sea, folks, and you're not going to see checks that were brought out by our tracker, Professor Pixie. You know, K45, Bombo's Tablet, Graveyard Ledge, Mimic Cave. None of those are going to be being looked at, not even once, because they're all gated by the only item that's keeping us from saying go.
Now, question for you. Are any of our runners at all going to kill Aghanim for Tempered for that extra safety during the Ganon fight? Or are they going to say, no, I don't need it because I got silvers?
I'd say no way. You've got silvers. Even if you're doing a Master Sword spin fight on the fly, the silvers makes Phase 4 just so much easier. And we're seeing some pretty skillful sets on the screen from all four of our runners today, so make sure you give these four a follow. And they're putting on a pretty good performance. It's been fairly linear thus far, as we're just over an hour in, but as again, it's been a pretty quick seed also. So if you like what you see, give them a follow, and make sure you give a follow as well to our trackers tonight, keeping us honest, our Jinxie Girl and Professor Pixie.
And make sure to also follow the family of channels, Speed Gaming through Speed Gaming 6. We do this pretty much every day a week, and we got all sorts of games for you.
All right, just to reset a little bit, we did have a Mitts in Pod type of seed here with very early Dark World access in a vanilla bow and Eastern, because why did it have to do that? So right now our runners are very much looking for just a mirror. Mirror, of course, would give us the known flippers that you can see sitting on the floating island, gating our final crystal dungeon that we have not yet been able to even have a look at to this point. Ooh, Falcon with some nice boots laser skipping here. You love that. That's smooth.
Good laser bridge tech is Wonderful. Now, to the point I was making about logic some time ago, what exactly what item are flippers locking behind them? Flippers were locking something important.
Flippers are locking an entire dungeon in Swamp Palace.
Oh, right. I thought they were locking an important item, and I was going to talk about how sometimes violating logic can give you and put you head and shoulders above your competitors. But in this case, not so much.
A little bit more Hammer Trinex fun from Falcon here. Ooh, unfortunately, that ice head is not very happy, and make sure we know it.
Yep, and you never want to see the ice head go off, because not only does the ice make it a little bit more difficult to move, it's also slow.
Yeah, and it does lag the screen. The amount of particles that show up on the screen while that ice breath is there just make the fight those few extra seconds longer. Four, 5 good pounds of the hammer, and Falcon is done with Trinex. That is his 6th crystal.
Yep, and as chat is reminding us, the OK guy did manage to...
Yeah, the red mail was sitting in the Meyer Big Chest of all places, earlier than you would normally see it in a vanilla game. Pretty nice going into a fight that does hurt quite a bit in Vitreous, but over-equip his OK guy, and that's unload the quiver, and Vitreous suddenly is blinded by Silver and Arrow at the same time. So Falcon, I would imagine, is going to get his 10 arrows out of Spike Cave.
Probably. He knows Spike Cave is here. And he's not really likely to ever be in as good a position to go get it. And I guess the OK guy is not going to go to Skullwoods. Oh, wait, no. Yeah. What are you doing? Oh, turning into mushroom. Okay. Good idea. Ooh. If this is a mirror, he's just gotten miles ahead. Ah, nope.
Yeah, no mirror on the mushroom. And you might see a lot of runners decide to spawn at Mountain to do the, get a full heart refill from the old man and then just flute away, because it's the shortest entrance that you can spawn at. All right, so this will be the Pyramid Fairy play for OK Guy, which means he's going to add to how absolutely stacked he is in everything that isn't a sword by putting half magic on the table.
Yep.
And Ricky, of course, taking advantage of his half magic, is just going to slash down Trinex instead of playing with the freaky hammer hitbox that we all know and love. One shot just went right over the head. I hate it when that happens. Nice little frame roll there.
Yep.
All right, Falcons pick up the Smith. We got hammer pegs and then a save and quit to turn in that frog. Let's see what is waiting for us on the chain. If it's here in Peg Cave, do you turn in the Smith anyway looking for a sword? It's not. But, I mean, for sake of discussion.
I would. It's not that far away. And it doesn't take that much time. And it gives us the lunchbox.
Falcon, for a brief moment here, you're looking for that item, which is why you cannot use that item to try to find that item. Luckily, like I said earlier, the flute does make Smith Chain much, much easier to navigate here with a quick little toot, and the bird flies you off to Kakariko.
Yeah, it makes the save and quit Smith a lot easier to swallow. Moment of truth. What do we got?
We've got counterfeiters galore. They turn 10 rupees into 300.
Okay.
If that's not alchemy, I don't know what is.
And now we are going to see the play that I just said. Falcon is going to go grab the treasure chest that spawns in the Smith's house in the Dark World after you turn in the Smiths in the Light World. You take that chest over to a man sitting outside the desert in the Light World, and he opens it, and you get something.
In the vanilla game, it's just yet another bottle, which bottles are a good safety to have if you're not comfortable with a lot of the combat that Link to the Past hands you. But in this particular instance, being randomized, it could be a mirror or it could be absolutely nothing.
And if it's the mirror, then Falcon is at the head of the pack.
And if it's not the mirror, then we know exactly where it is.
And we get to say thanks, game.
I think you're saying thanks, game, either way here. You had to do a mirrorless Smith Chain to get mirror out of purple chest. Or to find out that mirror's not in purple chest, because it's not!
Oh my god!
Chat, tonight y'all get a gold star and a show, because Falcon has to fight Mothula.
Well, I mean, everybody's gonna fight Mothula, but Falcon just gets to do it first.
Yeah, Falcon being the first player to go over to Skullwoods. Ricky down going to go check Ether. This is really good for Falcon to have this knowledge out of the way early. All right, Yoinker's wife, now done with her excursion through Mire, is going to take to TR.
And Ricky redoing Tower of Hera, or doing Tower of Hera for the first time, even though we know there's not going to be anything for him here. He's either going to do the thing or not. It looks like he is going to try to pot dive.
All right, not having a lot of magic to go through here because he hasn't picked up half magic and has been using it liberally as one does when they have the fire rod, being as good of a weapon as it is. Falcon decided to pick up just a little bit of extra in here.
Yeah, which is a solid play. And Ricky does eventually land Herapot. It's easy once you know how to set it up, but it is kind of almost pixel perfect. Not quite pixel perfect, but
to answer a question from chat, is Ped dead? Ped's been dead for a very long time. We have had a read of the pedestal relatively early into this run, and it so turns out that, $20. Wow. Yeah, pedestal is couch cash, so we won't be seeing our runners quite go there. Although, if you look at your item set and what you know you need to finish the game, there really isn't anything that could have been on the pedestal anyway, with the knowledge that the flippers were already sitting there waiting for us on a floating island up in the mountains.
Yep.
Moldorm doing a little bit of old Smash Brothers edge guarding there, keeping Ricky from falling into that plane of existence, and then, of course, taking a poke, which means Ricky had to be very careful to not deal with an angry worm.
Yes, but if you deal enough damage to Moldorm, he will enter an enrage mode, and he starts moving faster, and that's no fun.
But that's a green pendant for Falcon, so get your hype in chat, folks. It's not every day you see a last location for go mode, basically.
And it's not often you see the last location be literally take the green pendant to Saha. I've rarely seen that happen.
Watch out, though, because OK Guy is falling into his moth fight. He's right on the heels.
Yep. There it is.
That's such a great place for a mirror. That is functionally go mode at 1:19:23 for Falcon. He's going to fly up the mountain, pick up those flippers, and we get to go mode through Swamp.
Which is good, because Swamp is a pain dungeon to go through if you can't go mode it. Conversely, if you can go mode it, you don't need to do much of anything.
I think the only thing you even think to look for in Swamp at this point is a sword. There's nothing else that you could possibly need.
No. I mean, our runners have almost every item in the game. And it's possible that that our runners could end with a fully occupied inventory grid by picking up the worst boomerang and ether inside Swamp. And as our tracker says, there are 20-some checks in Ganon's Tower that we have to see, and the sword might be in there.
Now, you might be thinking, we only have 2 swords, so where are we going to find one of those other 2 swords? Well, we know where one sword is. We did see a sword on the Lumberjack tree in the early stages of this race, so there's only one sword out there for us to find, and I would imagine none of these runners will finish on anything higher than Tempered.
Yeah.
And 2 bombs for Sahasrahla from the OK Guy.
Yeah, the OK Guy is not happy.
Giving him the old Fred Coughlin treatment. Showing him what you really think.
And this officially puts Falcon in go mode at 1 hour 21 minutes. And I need to catch up on your stream. 6 seconds. Falcon now has every item he needs to complete the game.
And that just means a short jaunt from here into Swamp Palace. A little bit of detour to pull the switch and flood the gate. And off we go. So as our tracker did point out in chat, you will probably only be checking items that are on the critical path anyway. So probably won't see our runners get that first check of Swamp. Probably won't see them go to Compass Chest. Definitely not going to see left side. The 2 in back and maybe Waterfall, and that's it. You're not going to see them go out of their way looking for a sword here.
Yeah, there's no point, because if you're a runner of Randomizer, you'd be doing yourself a disservice not to at least practice doing Ganon with lower sword levels. So, because the time it takes to go find another sword, or kill Aghanim and go find that sword, is going to be way longer than it takes you to do the requisite Master Sword attacks. Even Silverless, I suspect.
All right, here's the sad news for Ricky as he goes to turn in his lunchbox, and he will get lunch money instead, and a date with a moth.
You don't get the wait staff. It's horrible.
Say, interesting decision to save and quit instead of fluting right out of there straight to Kakariko. Oh, he still has King's Tomb to check, doesn't he? Yes,
Yep.
He does. Oh, he's going to find more lunch money. Oh. Well, at least he'll be eating good tonight.
Yeah, as our tracker says, running up the Aga Tower is equivalent to a Master Sword Silverless fight, and they have silvers, so you're wasting a lot more time than you could possibly gain.
So we're gonna see Falcon perform a diver down here with the King of Samaria on the right side. This allows you to go ahead and clip through the barrier and make it appear that you're walking underneath the water layer. And finding a
Tempered.
There's always a sword in Swamp.
Oh, Oh, this is good news for Falcon. I do not know if any of our other runners know how to perform a diver down. I don't know how to perform a diver down.
I am going to say that I think all 4 of the runners on screen will show us a diver down, whether it's with cane or bombs, before this night is over.
I'm going to hold you to that.
And if I'm wrong, then I'm going to take that runner aside, and I'm going to be like, listen, your game is great, and we love having you. This is definitely worth learning, and you will wow the audience just by performing it. Diver down's really not that tricky. It's literally just setting it up that takes a little bit of practice, and once you know it, you just know it. It's there. It's like riding a bicycle. Oh, nice snipe by Falcon. And that, my friends, is the 7th crystal that will drop from the ceiling, and with 7 crystals in hand, you know what game we're about to play.
Right before you get started, Kimchi's asking what a diver down exactly is. To answer the question, points, stairs, ledges, that sort of thing. But the Simoria block has weird properties sometimes, and if you jump through the barrier, the game doesn't properly transition you from the upper layer to the lower layer. So the game thinks that you are on one layer, but visually has you on the other layer. So you can do weird things like not drain the room and swamp and be able to move through the water and grab the checks.
And it's not just the Cane of Samaria that enables us to do this either. There are setups that allow you to drop a bomb and use that to push into the rail as well. So yeah, as Falcon makes his way up to Ganon's Tower, we know there's 22 checks where that Ganon's Tower big key can be, and we can get exactly 22 of them. So if you have a guess as to where the big key that allows us to climb to victory might be hiding out, as Yoinker's wife runs out of magic on Trinex. Oof.
Fortunately, she has that blue bottle, so she didn't have to leave in shame.
She also has quite the lake. That is a very mean ice head.
Wow.
Playing not so nice games with her here. And she is showing us just how frustrating this fight can be.
And with the OK guy finishing up his fight with Argus, he is going to move very quickly up to Ganon's Tower.
And Ricky is playing dodge the Iron Knight to go over to see his reflection on the old man's face. And probably throw it right back at him, to be honest.
I mean, it's what I'd do.
Alright, Falcon is choosing to go left here. We do have a key on the torch, which is pretty nice to have being in a boots mode. Seeing a key there would tell you that the game is expecting you to have boots, because it also expects you to get all 4 keys before you get through to Moldorm 2. And another key. So we're going to see him go right here? Interesting.
An interesting routing choice. It looks like it could be Dark Magician. If he pops out, no?
Now, this is the typical left to Stalfos and right to Compass that you might see some players do. It was coined by Dark Magician, or as a route that Dark Magician used to take back in the day. And the community holds on to that name forever. We know that. Pretty nice full magic drop there. For
very
Falcon.
timely.
Not very nice Gibdo absorbing the 5th shot of the Samaria block to despawn it.
Yeah. Those mummies never cooperate.
So we've got OK Guy instead doing Hope and going left.
grabbing the key off the torch. Is he going to save time this way? Who knows?
Oh, this is the full route. Falcon is going all the way down to Stalfos from here.
Interesting move.
And this is what they mean when they call it the Dark Magician route. Oh, Yoinker's wife is going to Skullwoods first before doing anything else. This is going to be really good for her. And, well, she does have to poke around the front of the dungeon because she has not previously been to Skullwoods, but I think in this situation, if you haven't been here at all, you're still going to go to the boss.
Yeah, if you have the ability to beat the boss, you're going to go there. And the big key down.
So wait, did we just see that route pay off for Falcon?
Maybe? I don't know the time difference between OK Guy's route and Falcon's route. So I don't know if Falcon picked up time here.
I know it's screwed with my chest count a little bit. I think that was 14. I'm not sure.
And like I said, we could potentially have a full item inventory at the end of the game. And our chat is saying that Falcon did save a little bit of time over the OK Guy. And chat is very confused about numbers right now.
Yeah, you normally see numbers being thrown around before you enter Ganon's Tower. Now that we have numbers being thrown around after the big key's been found,
I don't know.
You gotta wonder. So our tracker, Professor Pixie, is laying out exactly what checks Falcon made, and it looks like the number was, in fact, 14.
Good old trackers, keeping us all honest.
See, the only flaw with that penguin is it was the second check in Vanilla Big Key Room, behind Ice Armos.
Now we have the OK Guy beginning his run up the tower. It's going to be interesting. They are equally equipped. The OK Guy has half magic, which probably isn't going to mean anything in the scheme of things, so it's really all down to performance. It is Falcon's race to lose.
Half magic that does do one thing. It allows the OK Guy to abuse the fire rod going through the gauntlet, where we saw Falcon make it a hard attempt to do plenty of silver shots. And I do mean plenty, although it only takes 3 to take down Landmo 2, and that is perfect.
That was a textbook Landmo 2 fight. Very well done.
Alright, chat is asking, rather, one of our trackers are asking, Yoinkers appears to have found the 2 items in the front of Skullwoods and said, no, I don't want this green pendant.
Oh,
Yoinker's
that's going to bite her.
You do want this green pendant.
Oh, that's going to hurt her.
And a dungeon that takes the amount of time to get through front to back like Skullwoods does, that's the kind of move that you can probably defend bailing out on just one check that you have to go leave and get after you've killed the boss anyway. And, puts you away from what else you have to check in the world, such as the Smith Chain.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfectly defensible choice. But it's just not going to pay off.
Alright, having that extra pair of keys climbing up the tower, so having to literally do absolutely nothing in that mini Helma room. Powder, of course, is nice. You get this full magic refill before you take on Moldorm 2.
And the OK Guy missing his third arrow against Landmo, forcing him into several more cycles.
You see a little frustration spin from the OK Guy. And Landmo can be a little bit of a troll boss, too, the way it moves around and kind of makes things not very comfortable regardless of how you're trying to fight him. With that shooter there to harass you as well.
Yeah, Moldorm 2 is not a great fight. The arena is much trickier than he was in Tower of Hera.
And again, you saw Falcon did enrage Moldorm and had to play a lot of dodge the snake there for a few moments before he was finally able to line up a shot to take him down.
But he did so very well. This is exceedingly competent play from Falcon. Honestly,
it's been pretty good by all Forerunners. We haven't seen anybody have serious executional issues or getting caught in rooms, taking accidental deaths anywhere. This has been a super clean run, a very friendly seed, and a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, it was friendly until the mirror was on green pendant. Yeah, you're right.
We might see the OK guy hover past Moldorm if he chooses to. Nope, he's going to play it safe. Probably a good move, all things considered.
Yeah, spin and a slash, plenty enough to take down Moldorm 2. Thought about teching that chest and juked us all. No need. And at 1:35:32, Falcon will be the first to fade to black and face off against the Big Pig.
The Ganon fight is very simple, but it can turn nasty very quickly. All you have to do is strike Ganon to boost him through phase 1, but those fire bats can do significant damage, and it can stack up in a hurry if you're not prepared. Red Mail is going to help our runners. Weather it. Watching Green Mail Ganon is kind of nerfy. Those fire bats are mean.
Alright, so after 12 slashes through phase 1, he'll stop spitting his trident at you and instead spin the fire bats off of his trident, sending them into your path. And after 12 slashes there, you get this little teleport-happy little sequence where he goes between the top and bottom of the arena any random number of times. 4 slashes here, you see the outer edge of the arena will crumble away. After this 4th hit, he will go into his 4th phase and become vulnerable to the brightest and most powerful weapon in the land of Hyrule in this game. Or, his one true weakness.
Falcon did not get what we call torch glitch, but it won't matter because he's very close to beating him. If you can relight the left torch before the right torch goes out, the right torch will simply not go out because that's how fire works.
Let's see some GGs in chat for Falcon finishing first on a restream, and I don't have the race time up. Claymore?
His race time was 1 hour 37. He crossed the ledge at 19, shut his timer off at 22. Our first place finisher today overall is Gamachu with a time of 1 hour 32 and 41 seconds. I'm sorry, I didn't have my finger on the button. Where did I cut off?
You didn't sound cut off to me at all.
Oh, excellent, good. Gamachu is first place, 1 hour 32:41, followed up by Homemade Beer, just 11 seconds behind it, 1 hour 32:52. We've got Shire finishing in third place with 1 hour 34:21, and we have the OK Guy finishing up 6th place overall with a time of 1 hour 38 minutes and 5 seconds.
Here's the ultimate feels bad for Yoinker's wife.
And we have Falcon and the OK Guy ready to join us. We have Yoinker's wife making the very slow play through Hera Basement. And Riki and Kukuri making their way up Ganos Tower.
Actually, they're still headed down to Ice Armos to get their key.
Through Ganos Tower, you're right.
And unfortunately, that is not a ledge you can walk around on the top side. So taking a fall in this room, but bonking across the teleporter is pretty good.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
That is the voice of the OK Guy, so we'll welcome the OK Guy. And also Falcon is here. GG to both of you.
Yo, Falcon, good game.
that mirror on Saha is something that chat was desperate to see.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I last location did. I just kept checking all the stuff I skipped.
Oh yeah, everybody is last locating that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Nobody-
Believe me, there is no circumstance where anybody has, on this restream, has said, you know what, I'm going to go get the green pendant. Everyone's done everything they possibly could to avoid having to go fight Moth.
I don't know, man. Lately, I've been telling myself to stop checking Overworld if I can beat dungeons, and then I had to go back and check all those Overworld locations for no reason.
Hello. Sorry, my microphone was mute.
That's no problem, Falcon. GG.
I was talking to you guy and nobody will answer. Okay.
Aw.
Very sorry about this.
Well, now we can hear you, so if you have thoughts to share on that mirror location, please keep it PG-13.
Oh, no, it's fine actually. I made a small gamble because early on I did the mountain and decide, no, I'm not gonna do Era, I have other things to do, you know. So I had all the Dark World. And then I went back, finished Royal Rock, and still no mirror. I did Spike Cave, you know, and, well, Era was all the mountain loop, you had to do all of this, so I just decided to, okay, let's finish everything else and finish by Era. If it's there, then the palms are just the next door, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's a very defensible decision not to clear Skull Woods. In this case, the gods of Rando just decided, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is that Skullwood had both items in the front.
Yep.
So, and the fire rod was not accessible, or maybe it was, but I never did I didn't do the mountain very early. I did it late.
Yeah, by the time you got up the mountain, you could make it.
Oh man, Falcon,
Yeah.
I'm curious. Did you do the really slow Smith chain?
I did.
I'm sure everybody did.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, it's so bad.
Everybody did. And
Everybody did
terrible
the slow
every
Smith
time.
chain. Everybody did the eventually the Pyramid Ferry, the slow walk to Catfish, or the run to Catfish in this case. Actually,
I thought that I was being clever by doing the chain, the Smith chain, but apparently everybody was being clever.
so actually, in regards to Fire Rod, everybody was in pod at the same time. So immediately after those mitts is when it comes available.
Oh yeah, and I saved and quit to the mountain immediately.
I think you were the only runner to do that. Interestingly enough, everybody else geared up and went to Meyer, playing
I
for
could see that.
5-6.
Yeah, because Samayo was in pod, I think.
Yeah, Samaria was in pod
Yeah,
on the right
with the
side,
Yeah,
and
with the
Mitts
mitts.
right back. And Meyer is just another one of those crystal dungeons where, in this case, it opens up Pyramid Ferry, but also it's something you have to do. So you
Yeah,
go
and
for it.
Mirror being in there would be cheeky, so it is a good gamble to go in there looking for it. But I guess if you didn't do the mountain early, you wouldn't have even known that the flute or the flippers were up there just waiting.
Yep, and that tells you quite a bit about the seed, knowing that the flippers are mirror locked.
Yep.
Yeah, well, no ice badass, you know, and we could eliminate some stuff based on that.
Yeah, you didn't have to do any of those ugly mirror checks that are hard to get back to, like Graveyard Ledge, Bombo's Tablet, K45.
Yeah,
It was nice in that regard. Like
Yeah,
the seeds
and
came
Turret
out, just kind of said blazing fast, and then said, "No, you're going to slow down for a little while."
Yeah, just a wall. Just a great big wall at the end.
A moth-shaped wall.
And even Turtle Rock was fun to do without the mirror because we knew that Mimic Cave was up anyway. So
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was
man.
an interesting seed, I will say. Very interesting.
As Uninformed Pleb is saying, the critical path was nice until it wasn't. You had, the bow to get you to the Paradox Glove to take you over to Stumpy, and then you picked up the Master Sword off the Desert Ledge, and you took that right back over to Pod, and you flew up to Hookshot Cave, and you just were ping-ponging around Hyrule like something I don't know.
Question. Did anybody else get tempered?
Yes.
I did.
Awesome.
So I believe everyone will probably finish on Tempered just because of the location of that third sword. What did you guys think when you saw a sword-locked sword sitting on Lumberjack?
Yep.
Oh, that was funny.
I was expecting Cape super early.
Oh,
and then
of course.
like something important on one of the tablets or something.
Well, I saw one on Desert Ledge not long after, so I just told myself, okay, I don't need this. Fine.
All right, Ricky has dropped into his Ganon fight with Tempered Silvers, 15 Hearts Red, so this should be a pretty easy win for him, as it was for everybody else that's already done it.
Yeah, the seed gave you everything you needed.
Yeah, it just didn't give it to you fast enough. I mean, come on. And they weren't exactly in the most convenient of locations. The Fire Rod being all the way up at Hookshot Cave is great because it draws you right into TR with double Quake for your 2 last dungeons, but still.
Yeah. I was really hoping for that mirror in T-Rock, because then I could just grab the flippers and go the rest of the way, get a 120. Nope. Wasn't happening.
Okay, guy, I was kind of half expecting it, because while you were going up the mountain and into TR, everyone's either go-moding to Vidi or just, diving back in or, plunging around Misery Mire looking for 2 items, and 2 items that happen to be absolutely not great.
Yeah, way out of the way. Anyway, good game again, Falcon. Thank you guys for commentating and everybody behind the scenes.
Thank you for running for us.
Yeah, it was
thanks a lot.
fun.
It was a fun seed. Always a nice mode with casual boots,
Early Dark World, too. Anyway, laters, guys.
Have a good one.
GG again.
Game. See you. Bye.
And a GG again to Falcon as well as our 2 top runners on this restream depart. We have had now 13 runners finish in the race time room. If you'd like to go down that line, and there's Ricky finishing off his Ganon, and Kyoiker's wife picking up her green pendant at long last. She will probably go visit Saha.
Yes. We have Ricky Kokiri about to walk across the bridge, finishing this race in 11th place with a time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 19 seconds. Ganon's Gone Wild in 5th place with 1 hour, 37, 20 seconds. OK Guy, as we saw, finishing in 6th, 1 hour, 38.05. Koi finishing in 7th with a time of 1 hour, 38.16. Alexius2 finishing in 8th place with a time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, 19 seconds. It's Otter finishing in 9th place at 1 hour, 45.12. Kaede Rukawa finishing in 10th, 1 hour, 47.06. Ricky Kokiri right behind him with an 11th place finish. Tereu finishing in 12th place, 1 hour 47.21, hot on Ricky's heels. Scupula finishing in 13th place, 1 hour 47.27. And Norsk Maddie, our current last finishing runner, in 14th place with a time of 1 hour 48 minutes and 36 seconds.
And let's give a warm welcome to Ricky of Kokiri in chat with us. GG, Ricky.
Thank you. I do not feel bad about last locating Green Pendant, given I had already done the front of Skull Woods, so,
Don't feel bad about last
worry.
locating it, because everybody did.
Don't worry. Anybody that was anybody on this restream has either gone to Skull Woods and found 2 items and said no, or waited to go to Skull Woods, found 2 items and said no, and did everything else and came back.
Oh, really? I would have totally thought that if you put off Skull Woods, you would just, upon returning there with the fireball, you just do the whole thing. Interesting.
So
I mean, Green Pendant, Skull Woods, why would you?
That was a thing.
yeah,
I
Seed
actually-
was
Well,
a
the
thing.
thing.
I had a close call, though, because, like, the entire time I'm doing Blacksmith Chain mirrorless, grumbling to myself, I'm thinking about Ice Palace, and fortunately, when I went to, King's Tube, it suddenly hit me, wait, I'm trying to get Mirror for Flippers, it can't be Ice Palace. And, you know, that was all I had left was Green Pendant, so there I go. Ay.
And the whole time, Ricky, chat was calling for Mirror on Saha, and chat got what they wanted tonight. And unfortunately, that means you all also got what they wanted.
It was very mean. The seed, like, was starting out, the seed looked very friendly. It was very linear.
Oh, yeah.
All of you were shuttling, like, generally falling right on each other's heels, right up until you hit that big moss-shaped wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have a question that I'm going to direct at you. What made you go to Mire before Mountain in the case of finding Mitz and Pod?
Red Crystal. I have been burned too many times by doing Mountain before Pyramid Fairy, so going straight from Pod to Mire to do that was first on my agenda. And I will be frank, if Vicious had dropped an item, I would have just bailed on it, but since, you know, he didn't, I went back in, but yeah, I was doing Pyramid Fairy first. I was prioritizing that.
Yeah, I thought it was really spicy that you see the big key and you just go straight to Vidi. I thought maybe you would have carried that through, thinking, "Oh, this has to be nothing. It's got to be Pyramid Fairy." But you dipped back in, and
Well, if it had just been one item, like if Vicious had dropped an item, I would have bailed. But leaving 2 items behind when I was only 2 items from go, I think at the time, it was too much of a risk. I didn't want to do that.
yeah, I think you made the
Highly
right call.
defensible.
And I've been in that situation where I leave one item in Mire, and it's the one item that absolutely kills my run.
Exactly. Like a couple of my Challenge Cup wins were because my opponent didn't go back into Mire, and so like that kind of hangs over my head.
And we have Yorka's wife beginning her entrance into Swamp Palace. She's just drained the dam, and she's going to mirror over to Dark World, and she's going to just fly through Swamp Palace because she has to know, she has to get the feeling that she's behind. Dipping out on Skullwoods that early, and then finding Mirror, she knows she's behind. She just doesn't know how far.
And you know, that's probably the only blessing that the seed really gave us after how it treated you in Dark World with the item placements, is the ability to go through this Swamp Palace in a quick and painless fashion.
Yeah, it was like the only nice thing the seed did with that mirror.
Well, also keeps you out of Ice Palace, which
True.
kind of Samaria icebreaker, but you know, not anybody is ready and raring to go to fight Cold Stare with a Master Sword, so.
Oh yeah, no joke.
Now, are we going to see Yorka's wife perform Divers Down? I don't know Yorka's wife as a runner, so I don't know if that's in her skill set.
I don't know. I said all 4 would do it, and we're 3 for 3 so far, so if she does... Okay, guy joining us in the Twitch chat says, hoping Mira was in the lunchbox, and moreover that no one else wanted to save and quit 10 times to get it.
No. I was doing that way before I touched Green Pendant.
Yeah, the worst feeling, oh man, I'm wrong. I'm so wrong. I hate this. Oh, that means she's not going to get her Tempered Sword. Uh-oh.
Oh, no,
That's going to,
oh.
it's going to hurt her a little bit.
If anything else, it's going to make Gauntlet and the Ganon fight a little bit more treacherous. Of course, we do have Red Mail. We do have 14 Hearts. We do have Silver. She does have half magic. She's probably fine.
Yeah, she's in as good a setup defense-wise as you can realistically hope to get. Defense and utility, I should say.
And not to mention, I don't know what she has in the 3 bottles that we have tracked for her. So she's probably in a better shape than anyone here probably just offhand thinks. Master Sword Ganon, definitely not free. Definitely something to practice and learn. It's even some of the most seasoned runners occasionally have a bad day and things don't go as much as well as planned. So good practice though.
So it goes.
Of course, not having Tempered will make this Argus fight slower as well, as these puffs take 2 slashes from the Master Sword instead of 1 Tempered Sword Swing.
Yeah, not pulling Tempered. The time lost / saved adds up in a hurry in ways you don't really account for until you try.
One thing we didn't actually talk about with the runners earlier was the the bow in Eastern.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I was really happy with that placement, given my choice to go there first.
Yeah, given the situation between a possible bow locked pod and having to burn a potion to not necessarily find a bow or mirror in pod, versus Saha's Closet Eastern and then flute back to 5 for pod, I think you do Eastern every time there.
Yeah, plus having the flute, so like if I got locked out of Eastern, I could just flute down to 5 and quickly go into pod. I felt that was the faster route overall.
All right, so Yoinker's wife did dispatch Argus and is now going to head up to her Ganon's tower.
Yep. And let's see if she makes a fast play or desperately full clears tower looking for something.
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off. GG's everybody, thank you for the restream. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you for running for us.
GG, Ricky. See you again soon.
Thank you. Bye!
We have a couple more runners finishing up. We have Katigo finishing in 15th with a time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, 43 seconds. Arsap finishing in 16th with a time of 1:51:14. Hitman 1382, 17th place with a time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 58 seconds. Sandres 316 finishing right behind him in 18th place, 1 minute behind him exactly, 1 hour, 52 minutes, 48 seconds.
Of course, that 18 finish, there were 25 total entrants, a really high number for a primetime casual boots on a Wednesday night. That's how you know it's summer and how rando season's in full swing.
Exactly. And speaking of randomizer, we have the final match of the championship, Game 3, Dante versus Gamachu on Tuesday, June 29th, 6:10 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it.
Oh, that is a Game 3. That was a series that if you missed it, we had a doubleheader here in the Speed Gaming Network earlier this week. It was a barn burner. It went 1-1. These two runners are showing everything they've got to make it through this year's main tournament, and only one can be crowned the winner.
They had a long road to climb, and the two of them are going to have their last stand on the 29th. And on the 24th, we decide who's in third place. Zelgadis versus Obscure Lifeform on June 24th, 5:10 p.m., also on the main Speed Gaming channel. That's also a Game 3, by the way.
Game 3 is the best way to have a finals and bronze match series to go out. After all those matches and all those games to play, you just got to give the crowd that final hurrah. You got to give yourself that fighting chance. Down a game, steal it back. Up a game, play it safe, sort of thing. Everything that can possibly go. That's the way it goes. And we've seen these runners put it all on the line in every situation, all championship year long. And sometimes even in this daily circuit, where we have different modes every day, Monday through Friday, rotating times. It's been a blast watching a lot of randomizer.
Oh, certainly. Randomizer has rejuvenated interest in this game thousands of times over. It is why A Link to the Past is still relevant and still deeply enjoyed by many people, even now, almost 20 years after its release. No, almost 30 years after its release.
Chat asking, where was Book? Book was on Stumpy.
Yes.
By the way, it's been a while since I've said it, and we didn't really say it following the interviews because we still have one runner going. Make sure that you're following anybody that's volunteered their presence on this restream today. Falcon, Yoinker's wife, Ricky Kokiri, the OK guy, showing us all a way through the game. And in this case, a way through the game that wasn't very comfortable because of where the mirror ended up being, but nonetheless...
A way nonetheless. And Jinx Girl and Professor Pixie working their magic on the back end so that we can keep track of who's got what.
Who's got what, sometimes where is what.
And sometimes
like,
why is what.
Looks like Ricky's pulling up another seed to play with in the background. Hold on. All right, Yoinker's wife will be getting her big key after a fight with the Ice Armos, and then it's a Master Sword climb, which is in some ways a little bit more difficult than a Tempered Sword climb. Of course, that 6-shot Ice Armos fight is pretty straightforward here, so...
Yep.
As she makes her way down to where the big key is waiting, a couple other finishers in the background. Mocha Jones 10, 19th place at 2 hours and 52 seconds. Freddy N3K takes 20th with 2 hours, 1 minute, and 2 seconds. So 10 seconds splitting those two runners. That's got to be really close if you watch it restream to restream. Or stream to stream. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And then Ricky of Kokiri and Kairyu finished 2 seconds apart. Yoinker's wife dropping right down into her Ice Armors fight, trying to get the anti-fairy, and it's not... There we go.
Oh, boy. All right. The anti-fairies, in so many ways, can just be rude as heck. If you think about some of the places that they show up and just bounce around and cause you trouble. The room that comes to mind for me is that room in Ice Palace on the way to Ice Tea, the vanilla way. With the 4 shadows that come out of the walls, you have to find the switch and the key.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Because that particular bubble likes to just bounce around that room and completely ignore the fact that you're trying to get out of its way, because ice physics are very rude.
Ice are incredibly rude.
Alright, so entering the gauntlet in just a moment. Got to get past these mimics first. Of course, silvers make that a pretty short task.
Yep. Hold them into position, and then dispatch them. Wonderfully done. There's actually a trick that you can do here. If you don't have arrows or just feel like being cheeky, you can manipulate them into the wall so that they fly off the screen. And just like in Palace of Darkness, if the enemies are off the screen, the door is considered, or the enemies are considered defeated, and the door will open.
getting harassed by the spikes just a little bit there. Just a little. They can do that.
Yonkers making their way through the gauntlet. Got hung up on that final Stalfos. Or final jumping bones.
This is the room where things start to get a little bit more treacherous. Again, the ice physics, the BMOS, and not having a tempered sword to dispatch these Zazek. She's going to go ahead and just Ring of Fire!
Yep, they went down in that Ring of Fire. It's a very justifiable decision, especially with half magic to buffer the cost.
Yeah, half magic makes Bombos pretty free at this point of the stage. When you have silvers to back up your Lammo fight, or, half magic is good to just swing that fire rod around a little bit. She is going to take this fairy, though, and the little extra time spent in this room does reset the Lamoless pattern for this fight.
Yeah, which makes it a little bit trickier to do, but it's a tactical decision if you need the fairy. Or think you need the fairy.
If anything's taught me anything in Randomizer, it is always faster to not die. Just saying.
That's generally the case, yes.
Unless you're trying to death warp, then the last thing you want is Sank Heart and Zelda Cell at 8 hearts.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. Didn't quite get the quick setup with the gauntlet, or with the Samoria block to knock out 3 of the fighters.
Yeah, Wizard rooms are so satisfying to do with Canis Samaria, regardless of whether or not you get all 4 in the first cycle in the second room. It's just so much nicer than, not. Well, unfortunately, taking a fall, though, is going to slow this room down, because she's probably going to take the safe way and just wait for this torch to go out.
Yeah, trying to patch up a okay, she's just gonna go for it. Trying to patch up a cycle mid-movement can be very treacherous. She's going to wait here for a while, because if I don't know the technical explanation for it, but if you transition from the lower level to the upper level while the door is in the process of closing, the game snaps itself in half, basically.
Yeah, what happens is, because Link to the Past as a game was not programmed to walk and chew gum at the same time, as you see, Yoiker's wife is now looking for a sword, unfortunately will not find one. In the process of the doors closing, the game is not willing to devote any of its resources to doing anything else, so instead of spawning the enemies for the next floor, or anywhere else in the dungeon for that matter, they cease to exist.
And that includes Moldorm, which, as you might guess, is not great, as well as the enemies that you need to kill to get to Moldorm. So you're stuck, basically, and you have to reload the tower. It's not fun. You only do it once, and then you never ever make that mistake again.
That's easy to say, but it's very easy to do, too. And the sound of the doors closing as the solved puzzle goes away is why we refer to it as the jingle glitch. And Ganon's Tower is not the only place you can see that actually happen. If you manage to kill the 3rd berry while dashing to the door in Ice Palace on its first floor, you can end up reopening the entry door while you're entering the staircase and despawn all of Ice Palace as well. Not exactly ideal.
Yeah, the game was programmed, and that's about all that can be said for it. It is a game that was programmed.
It is a 30-year-old game that has captured all of our hearts.
Warts and all.
Alrighty, so Aga 2. We didn't talk a lot about Aga 2 while it was happening on screen, just because it was happening so quickly. You have to hit him 6 times. Like the Aghanim 1 fight, he will either fling an energy ball or a blue ball at you. Blue ball, of course, you cannot deflect back. In this particular instance, there are 2 Aghanim clones that will also fling energy balls at you. And teleport around in varying patterns.
Importantly, the Aga clones will not fire blue balls at you, so you can always deflect their shots.
Yeah, but there is not a guarantee that where they happen to land and where their shot's coming from is going to be at an angle that's beneficial to you, for you to swing back.
Correct.
As we're seeing, Yoinkers is having a time playing a little bit of agonometry here.
A time is accurate.
Because Aga is definitely not fun, especially when the clones start to move faster than Aghanim himself. As you saw there before the last shot, they do get very much desynced and can make things completely out of control. As our tracker pointing out, meanwhile, on another screen we are seeing what appears to be cross keys practice.
Which is an entirely other basket of what?
That is something, I do believe there's a cross keys race on the daily cycle for this week, unless it was yesterday, right?
Sure.
You know, talking about that, we didn't actually mention that we do have 2 more dailies running this week. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, it will be on Speed Gaming 5. We're going to play an open 7-7, defeat Ganon. Good old classic right there. On Friday, if you like something a little bit different, 2 p.m. Eastern, they're going to be having a hybrid Major Glitches daily to showcase the upcoming tournament that is currently in qualifiers.
Oh, that's so awful. I could not imagine trying to play that. Oh my god.
See, that's the thing with learning how to break the game in so many different ways, using tricks that are already legal in NMG standpoint. Now imagine learning to break the game in so many ways that the game doesn't even know how to walk anymore. That's playing in overworld or Major Glitches modes. And hybrid is kind of a little bit of both.
Oh yeah, then you'll... Oh, unfortunate. Yonka's wife taking death to Ganon, but fortunately having that fairy, meaning the setback isn't as brutal as it could have been, but that's 1 of 3 bottles, and we don't know what's in the other 2.
She did pick up, I know it was at least 1 fairy in the Primordial room. She did powder both the Bunny Beam and the Bubble. So that's possibly has another one.
Oh, she's burning through her hearts fast, though.
And she is going to utilize the cape here to get those last few spins in, get out of phase 2, get out of literally danger in this case.
Yeah.
And the way she's just going hard on the cape makes you wonder. She does have a blue potion, so she's perfectly okay here.
Okay. And it looked like she was actually utilizing the cape tech, where if you grab onto the wall while you have the cape out, it doesn't consume magic until you let go. It can be very helpful in certain situations.
Fun fact, if you let a bee out during the Ganon fight, the bee will continue to harass Ganon for the entirety of the fight.
Even bees don't like him.
Alright, this is definitely getting really, really risky for Yoinker's wife here, as she is now out of magic.
Oh, that's not good. She's gonna have to burn a blue potion, and she's not hurting for health.
Didn't she already?
Oh,
I thought she already
dear.
drank her blue potion.
Oh dear, if she did, that's... I mean, if she did... Is there even a point to continuing on? If she can't clear the... Unless she's really good with multiple arrows.
Yeah, but at this point, you're going to have to get like
do a
perfect
quad.
Which I've only ever seen one player ever do a quad. And taking the fall, regardless, to put us out of our suspense here. This is perfect restock time for Yoinker's wife, if this is as uncomfortable as it does seem to be, because Master Sword Ganon, as I mentioned earlier, is no joke.
Yes, it's not great-ish. And we have Frenzy finishing in 21st place with a time of 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 1 second.
Now, I will point out, we did see earlier how the Waterfall Fairy had nothing for us because we didn't have a bottle to check. But the Pyramid Fairy does have blues. So she's going to go ahead, and you don't actually have to leave the room to do this.
You just have to wait
You can
until
literally just wait a few seconds. I think it actually might be faster to leave the room. She can go ahead and pick up 4 blue potions, drink 1 to refill her magic meter,
and then fill
and
it
then
again.
pick up a 5th one, and then go in again and with a full loadout of blue goo.
Yes, which is going to make the fight substantially easier. But without a fairy, she is not going to have the safety. Oh, okay. She's not. She's opting to not ditch the bee for another potion. It's an interesting choice. But without the fairy, she's not going to have the safety, so she has to watch her health very closely.
That's why she didn't want to let go of the bee. She wants the bee to have fun with Ganon.
Okay.
If you've ever walked into a Ganon fight with 4 bees and you just let all the bees out, I did it once with 3 bees and a fairy, just because.
That's just trying to be stylish and playing with power.
That is pandering to your audience. You have to do that. You got to give them something to watch, right?
Yep.
Yes, the bees. Yeah, as you can see, this fight was never a joke. I believe the Trident would do 6 hearts of damage on green mail. It's 4.
Contact damage. Yeah, that sounds about right. It'd be, if it's 6 hearts on green, it would be 3 on blue and a heart and a half on red.
Well, no, not a heart and a half, because the difference from blue to red is not half of blue.
Is it not? I swear.
Yeah, the damage reduction is blue mail will reduce enemy damage by 50%, red mail by 75%. Similar to the blue and red rings in Zelda 1.
Would that would be half blue though.
Fire bats are definitely doing some work though, and once again, she is out of magic.
Burning through that magic really quickly. And she didn't fill up all her pots, so she's on borrowed time.
I think she has one more. She is in phase 3, so this is absolutely going to go her way in just a moment. That's the other problem with Master Sword is if you're just outside of the hitbox, he lands and gets that fire bat swing out there. Ooh, that was really close just getting sat upon.
And the reason she's spinning here is because Ganon can't actually be hit by Master Sword damage, but a spin attack does an upgraded tier. So if you're spinning with the Master Sword, you're dealing the same damage as a Tempered Sword swing. Similarly, if you dash at an enemy and poke it, you do 1 tier downgraded. So a Master Sword poke will deal Fighter Sword damage.
Now that was really scary. The fire bats have a kind of reverse recoil, where instead of flinging you away from the direction you're trying to press, they put you in the opposite direction where you're trying to press. So if you're trying not to go to the ledge, and he hits you from below and you're holding down, you might be finding yourself flinging back that way.
Yeah, the fire bats are very mean. But again, that is something that you learn, and then you don't make that mistake again.
Still has plenty of magic for that fire rod here, so all Yoinker's wife has to do is land a couple more silvers, maybe one. She's one more. One more.
One more. Come on, Yonkers.
She's got this.
There we go.
And anybody that's out there, give a GG in chat for Yoinker's wife. Conquering a Master Sword Silvers fight, not something that's easy for anybody to do. Even if you've done it for a while, it still throws you off your game a little bit.
And Yoinker's wife walks into the Triforce room with her pet bee, finishing in 22nd place with 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 16 seconds to finish off our restream for tonight.
Claymore, we had a little bit of everything on this restream tonight.
We really did. About the only thing we didn't have was... I don't even know what more could the seed have thrown at us. It could have put us in the Ice Palace. Oh, okay. I take that back. The seed could have been a lot meaner. It could have, it could have chained something through Ice Palace to, and then put us back to the Witch's Hut. So the seed wasn't as mean as it potentially could have been, but it was very, very close. This is not something that I've seen in a while, but it was a time.
Definitely was a time, and it's a good mode, cook mode like this is you call it casual boots, and a lot of the times I've noticed that casual boots likes to be anything but casual. In this particular instance, during the fire rod on Dark Death Mountain and the green pendant for the mirror. But yeah, 132 being the fastest time tells you just how volatile this game can be when it really wants to be. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's Yoinker's wife joining us?
Yes.
GG Yoinker's wife, you conquered a very, very challenging seed.
Well, it's my first ever Master Sword Ganon, so there's that one.
Oh, really?
That was going to be a question that I had for you. And having the silvers is probably a blessing here. Did you do all that on the fly?
Yes.
That is legitimately impressive.
That's how I learn most things, is just by doing it. So I still can't do like Harapot or Icebreakers or anything like that, but my first Master Sword Ganon, there you go.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have picked a better place to pull it out.
Sorry it took so long.
No, not at all. I mean, we're here for the runners. So, we did want to ask about the seed. Having to clear a pendant Skullwoods to turn it into Sahasrara for the mirror. How did that make you feel?
Very, very far behind. And there were a lot of words said that were definitely not suitable for stream.
I'm positive that all of the runners were thinking much the same thing. I mean, chat was out for blood. They wanted to see that, and they got it tonight.
Well, yes, they did, and they picked a really good night to want it. Usually they want everything to be on pedestal, but I was like, well, the mirror can't be on pedestal because Ice Palace is a pendant.
Yep. Now, before everything sort of fell apart, the seed was actually looking very, very casual. It gave you a lot of mobility early on. It shuttled you to all the same locations. There wasn't a whole lot of divergence. But then it opened up and you ran into a moss-shaped wall.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I was like, oh, it's still only an hour 7, and I'm just now doing Turtle Rock, so I'm doing pretty good still. And then I couldn't find the mirror, and then couldn't find the mirror, and I couldn't find the mirror, and I was like, oh my god, where is this mirror?
And that's exactly what we were saying the entire way through. Everybody did everything possible before Skullwoods to get the mirror, and you were the only player to not do the front of Skullwoods, and we're like, oh, she's going to Skullwoods first. She's going to kill Moth and get her mirror off green, and then you left on 2 items.
Yeah, because there's
Because everybody would leave on 2 items there.
Yeah, nobody like it's a perfectly justifiable decision. Nobody wants to do Green Pendant Skullwoods if they don't think they absolutely have to. It's just a game. In this case, you absolutely had to.
yeah. I know there was a sword on Lumberjack. Where was the last one?
The last one was actually in Swamp Palace. You would have had to dive her down. And we were actually wondering if you knew Diver Down and could access those waterlogged chests when you weren't supposed to.
So I made a bet with Claymore. I told him, I'm willing to bet you all 4 runners on stream are going to perform a Diver Down one way or the other. And I feel bad now because that not having it and not going back for the chest, because, I mean, obviously you were in go mode, so
yeah.
There's no reason to go back for it at that point. But that is where the 4 sword was.
So in the flooded chests in the back.
Yep.
To answer the question you're about to have, a Diver Down is a displacement glitch where you basically clip through the barrier by the stairs, and that way the game does not check whether there's water there.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I know the theory. And I've tried it once and didn't pull it off because I couldn't get the sprite to jump up the stairs right at the edge. And I've never tried it again. And I should have. Or at least gone south after I opened up the thing.
No, but again, I mean, you were in go mode. It's entirely justifiable because, like Zeruvian says in chat, you're weighing the 2 chests that you have in Swamp Palace against 27 or God knows how many in Ganon's Tower. The math doesn't really favor it.
No, it doesn't. But then again, I'm an accountant, so I like to hedge my bets. Probably nobody got that. It's something accountants do to protect money from foreign exchange risk, like the Canadian dollar against the American dollar. It's really bad.
Yeah, so you hedge it in other currencies to buffer the exchange rate, or.
Yep. Don't worry, chat says, someone in chat says I love that joke.
So you have a fan in mind, Distorter, at least.
You know, I'm sitting here saying I'm hoping that she has a few more fans tonight, because to have your first ever Master Sword Ganon on stream, Silvers or no, is absolutely a feel-good feeling. You've got to feel good after conquering that. That's a huge molehill to climb for what would have felt like a mountain probably long ago when you first started playing.
Oh, I've been afraid of it all this time. You know, if I have a choice between Master Sword Silverless and having Silvers and Tempered Sword, I'll go find the rest of it every single time. But this time I was like, no, you gotta go for it. You gotta do it with just the Master Sword.
And it worked out for you.
Hey, and now that you've done it once, you know what you're doing, so you can probably do it again.
I hope so. I hope I get better at it, especially with a cape, because the number of times I missed with the cape, or I was facing the wrong way, and so when I went to charge my spin, it just like bounced off Ganon, and I'm like, oops, wrong way.
Get the bounce, or you get the poke, and then of course the cape's just draining and draining. You got fortunate that the Pyramid Fairy was giving out blues. That first attempt, we were worried that you hadn't realized that you didn't have any way to restore your magic at that point. So we were like, is she gonna go for like the most gutsy quad silver ever? Or
no, that would not have been possible, but I was like, well, I don't have any magic. I've got to get magic. And so I jumped off the edge and I was like, okay, I know where I can fill up my hearts. Let's see what the Pyramid Fury has and hope that it's at least green.
Well, this seed was an adventure, and you conquered it in style, and doing your first Master Sword Ganon is a real big feather to put in your cap.
It feels like it, actually. It really does. I just decided I wanted to do a race and take a break from studying for my CPA exam on Monday.
Well, now that you've got this, now that you get this under your belt, the CPA exam is going to be no problem, right?
Oh, yes, of course. I can do it in an hour that it's gonna let me have. But thank y'all for the restream and the tracking. Professor Pixie and Jinxie Girl, you're two of my favorite people in Brando, so thank you for being there and sticking around.
And thank you for running. We wouldn't be here unless you were.
Well, usually I'm behind the tracker.
So, I think that's going to do it for us tonight, Zeruvian.
Sure seems like it, Claymore. Once again, inviting you to follow the 4 runners we had on Restream tonight, and also the other 20-some-odd players that we had playing in this race time. The Rando community is vast, it is wide, it is full of players of all skill sets, and you saw something big tonight for Yoinko's wife. In one heck of a seed, gave us a little bit of everything. For a casual boots, I'll take it. And of course, without Jinxie Girl and Professor Pixie on the trackers in the background and keeping us honest, keeping us knowing where we are instead of thinking we're faced east, we're actually facing northwest, whatever.
And just to remind everybody, on Thursday, June 24th at 5:10 p.m., we're going to have the Bronze Match 3rd game, Zelgadis versus Obscure Lifeform, battling it out for 3rd and 4th place. And then on June 29th, 6:10 p.m., we are going to have the final game of the Link to the Past Randomizer 2021 tournament, Dante versus Gamachu. You're not going to want to miss it.
Both of those are Game 3s. Keep your eye on the Speed Gaming Network for all of your favorite randomizer, including 2 more daily races. Again, tomorrow at 9 p.m. we'll be playing a little Open 7-7. Friday afternoon, 2 p.m., hybrid major glitches for a little change of pace. And as always, follow Speed Gaming 1 Speed Gaming through Speed Gaming 6 and our foreign language channel, friends, for all of your racing and randomizer needs.
And it has been my pleasure to commentate for you tonight. My name is Claymore729.
And I'm Zeruvian, and that will do it for us here tonight on Speed Gaming. Thanks for watching.
Have a wonderful night.